The river turned red. Fish floated to the surface. Children screamed in the night while darkness swallowed an empire whole. For thousands of years, people have asked the same question. Were the plagues of Egypt a miracle, or a catastrophe so horrifying it became legend? Tonight, we uncover the real history behind one of the most terrifying stories ever told, and the truth may be darker than you think. Welcome back to A Veil of Crime, where history, mystery, and true crime collide. Tonight, we travel back more than 3,000 years into the heart of ancient Egypt, a kingdom ruled by gods, a civilization built on slavery, and a ruler whose pride may have destroyed his entire empire. This is the story of the 10 plagues of Egypt. And while many know the biblical version, historians, archaeologists, and scientists have spent decades trying to understand what may have truly happened. If you love historically accurate mysteries, true crime, and dark history, make sure you subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee through the link below. Now, let's step into ancient Egypt. Around the 13th century BC, Egypt was one of the most powerful civilizations on Earth. Massive temples towered over the Nile. Gold filled royal tombs. Armies conquered neighboring lands. And at the center of it all stood the Pharaoh, considered a living god. According to the biblical account in the book of Exodus, the Israelites had been enslaved in Egypt for generations. Forced labor built cities. Families were broken apart, and freedom seemed impossible. Then came a man named Moses. Raised in Pharaoh's household according to tradition, Moses fled Egypt after killing an Egyptian overseer. Years later, he returned with a terrifying message: "Let my people go." Pharaoh refused, and that refusal, according to history's most famous biblical account, unleashed disaster after disaster upon Egypt. The first plague was horrifying. The Nile River, Egypt's lifeline, allegedly turned to blood. Fish died, the water stank, people could not drink. Now here's where historians become fascinated. Some researchers believe that this may have been linked to a real environmental catastrophe. One theory suggests a massive algae bloom, sometimes called red tide, could have turned parts of the river blood red while depleting oxygen in the water and killing fish. Another theory points to volcanic activity elsewhere in the region, causing climate disruption and toxic conditions. To ancient Egyptians, this would have looked supernatural, and it only got worse. After the Nile became contaminated, frogs allegedly flooded the land, and then they died. And once thousands of dead animals began rotting in the Egyptian heat, insects exploded. Flies, gnats, vermin. Modern scientists note that ecological collapse often happens in chains. Contaminated water can drive amphibians from rivers. Dead animals attract insects. Insects spread disease. Soon livestock began dying. Some historians believe epidemics may have spread through animals and humans alike, especially in crowded ancient cities. Skin diseases and boils were reportedly everywhere. Imagine the fear. No modern medicine, no understanding of bacteria, only death spreading from house to house. To the Egyptians, it may have felt like divine punishment itself. Then came one of the most terrifying descriptions of all. The Bible describes hail and fire raining from the heavens. Some researchers believe this could reference an extreme weather event triggered by volcanic eruptions in the Mediterranean region. One eruption is repeatedly connected to these theories: the eruption of Minoan on the island of Thera, modern-day Santorini. This eruption was one of the largest in human history. Ash clouds, climate shifts, crop failures, violent storms, and strange atmospheric events may have spread across parts of the ancient world. While historians cannot prove it directly caused the biblical plagues, the timing has fascinated scholars for decades. And then came the darkness. The Bible claims Egypt was swallowed by darkness for 3 days. No sunlight, no movement, only fear. Volcanic ash clouds can darken the skies for days or longer. Sandstorms can do the same. But to ancient people with no scientific explanation, darkness itself felt like the end of the world. And in Egypt, the sun god Ra was among the most powerful deities. A sky without sunlight would not merely be frightening, it would be psychologically devastating. It would feel like the gods themselves had abandoned Egypt. Then came the plague that would echo through history forever: the death of the firstborn. According to the biblical account, firstborn children across Egypt died in a single night. This event remains one of the most debated and controversial parts of the story. Some historians attempt natural explanations. If grain supplies had become contaminated by fungus or toxins, privileged firstborn children, often fed first, may have consumed the deadliest portions. Others believe epidemic disease could explain the sudden death. And many believers reject all scientific theories entirely, viewing the plagues as divine acts beyond human explanation. But regardless of belief, the story changed history forever. Because after the deaths, Pharaoh finally gave in. The Israelites were allowed to leave Egypt, and the story of Exodus will become one of the most influential narratives ever written. This is where history becomes complicated. Archaeologists have never found definitive proof of the Exodus exactly as described in the Bible. Ancient Egyptian records are also famously selective. Pharaohs rarely recorded defeats, humiliations, or disasters. Many historians believe parts of the story may reflect real historical events that became layered with theology and oral tradition over centuries. Others believe the account is entirely spiritual rather than historical. And many believe it happened exactly as written. The truth? We may never know. But what makes this story so haunting is that nearly every plague described has some basis in real environmental or historical possibility. And when combined together, the results become terrifyingly believable. An empire brought to its knees, a river of blood, darkness swallowing the sky, and a ruler so consumed by pride, he may have doomed his own people. Whether you believe the plagues were miracles, natural disasters, or a mixture of both, one thing is certain: the story has survived for thousands of years because it taps into one of humanity's oldest fears. What happens when nature itself turns against us? If you enjoyed tonight's episode of A Veil of Crime, make sure to subscribe and like the video, and share it with someone who loves dark history and historical mysteries. And if you'd like to support the channel and help keep these stories alive, you can buy me a coffee through the link below. Until next time, stay curious and stay watchful.